All right, so time again, time for a solo overnight in the woods. And today is part 2 of our Rambo series. We got a lot of things to cover, so let's get to it. As mentioned, this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, here's the thumbnail. Go check it out. Part 1 consisted of a basic gear loadout from the start of the movie until he's apprehended and sent to the sheriff department. We briefly discussed the sleeping bag, gave a history on that, showed different ways to carry it. We talked about his knife and survival kit that's contained inside the handle, and briefly discussed the clothes that he was wearing. In part 2, I want to talk about the items that he makes and even the food that he cooks. So on that note, let's get to it. Now before we get too far down the trail, we have 100 Corporals Corner stainless steel skillets with a new pour spout and removable handle dropping to my website as we speak. That's corporalscorner.com, and that link is located in my video description box. And while you're there, don't forget to grab a skillet bag and patch. Once again, that's corporalscorner.com, and that link is located in my video description box. The first item on our list is Rambo's tunic, and that consists of nothing more than an old canvas tarp and a piece of cordage. Once Rambo leaves the police department or the sheriff department, all he has on his person is his knife and survival kit. He flees to the woods, ditches his dirt bike, and he's on foot. Comes across an old mining claim, and there's old messed up, burned out vehicles and debris everywhere. Searches around, finds some cordage, rips it down. Boom. Goes to an old rusted out vehicle, looks around, finds nothing, moves the seats, looks, and under a log, he finds an old dirty tarp. Picks it up, knifes it, cuts a hole in it, throws it on, and then ties it off. This is a standard 6x9 canvas tarp from Lowe's. We're going to improvise. The halfway point this way would be 4.5. And I believe this crease right here shows me the halfway point. So all we're going to do then is cut a slice in that crease right there so I can toss it over my head. This crease right here is the halfway point, and that right there would give me the perpendicular halfway point. So I'm looking at cutting it probably about right here just to get it over my head. And that should work. Now here's the truth behind this. The longer and wider, the better. Why? Because I can wrap up in it like a blanket. And it covers my entire body. However, in the movie, that wouldn't work because he's out there moving around and running around. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this off at knee height. And now we'll go ahead and trim the sides. We'll guesstimate here probably about a good 8 inches. So far so good, we're looking outstanding. The next step is to tie a simple square knot and secure our tunic to our body. The simplest way to tie a square knot is to do the old left over right, right over left. So start with my left side. We're going to go over, under, and through. Now take our right side and go over, under, and through. And it will look like a square. Then just pull it tight. Now taking a piece of cordage, gonna go around our tunic. We're gonna come up around waist height and start off with our left over the right, tighten it down. Now right over the left. Now something like this, it's not great. It's cotton canvas. And we've all heard the saying, cotton kills, meaning it's too hot during the summertime and it's too cold during the wintertime. However, with that said, Rambo was wearing an undershirt. He had a pair of jeans on. So in a sense, he had multiple layers. Even though as few as they are, he still had more than one layer on. Later in the movie, you see him laying next to a campfire. So his body heat that's being produced will be trapped between these layers. And something's better than nothing. Add a fire to that, he's inside of basically a mine shaft. Could be a cave, but it's a mine shaft. And that heat is going up, bouncing off those walls, adding to his already being produced body heat. So in a sense, I guarantee he was warm and toasty until he actually left that mine shaft. Now, if it rains, he's kind of screwed. It's going to soak right through this. There's absolutely zero waterproofing on this at all. And over time, it probably ended up becoming cumbersome. He's going to have probably 5 to 7 pounds of nice cold, trash bag all over his body. And he'll probably end up ditching it anyways, right? But to get out of that cold, trap some body heat, will it work temporarily? It should, as long as he's moving around. Since we have this knife in our hand, I want to go ahead and address some of the comments that were made in the previous video. About a dozen or so individuals claim there was a crack right here in the actual blade. If you look closely, you're going to see that it's a transition, a garbage transition from these wannabe fake saw teeth on the back of the spine where it comes down to where it's kind of like a drop point. The material thins out, and instead of following that curvature, they did a 90-degree cut and then did this. And I'll show you that right here. And if I flip it over, it's on the exact same side as well. Due to the lack of hogs on my property, we're going to have to improvise and use our imagination. To do that, I have my $15 pork boneless loin half roast. We're going to skewer this bad boy. We're going to create basically a rock anchor at the back end, shove a stick in there, and cook it over the flames, just like Rambo did. Now, along with that, I'm going to show you how to prepare this so it actually tastes good. Rambo didn't have access to barbecue sauce and spices. I do, and I never leave home without it. So we're going to go ahead and prep this out and then get her done. If we push down at a 45-degree angle and rock it back and forth, we should be able to bite into this enough to actually break it off. There we go. Once I added that second Y branch and I saw there was a slight bow in that stick, all I did was I pulled it out, beefed it up, and now I can rotate this thing and cook each side evenly. Works out a lot better. Now Rambo had one Y branch and the stick was diagonal. We could do that, but then you're gonna get uneven heat. You're gonna heat the bottom up first and the top's gonna be a little bit longer. There's no way to get that equal, even distribution, especially if you try and rotate that. So simply doing it the correct way, 2 Y branches and a stick creates a rotisserie. We're talking about a minimum 2 or 3 hours to fully cook that. That way it's safe to eat. We're gonna rotate every 10, 15 minutes and get that even distribution all the way around. And we have our makeshift rotisserie in the woods. Now in the meantime, we can work on the torch. Once Rambo is sealed off inside that mine shaft, he notices there's 2, I want to say that they look like kerosene lanterns. And then he looks down and he sees a 5-gallon bucket, opens it, and the part that always irked me is he has to put his hands in it and then smell it. If that's kerosene, you're going to smell it immediately. It wouldn't be gasoline, and it's definitely not propane. So it had to be some type of lamp oil, because most of the time, a lot of the lamp oil, there's no smell to it, or very little smell. And sitting there for years is probably no smell at all. So he kind of smells it, and then dips strips of his tunic that was left over into that, we're going to say, lamp oil. So right now we want to go ahead and cut this into small strips, around say 2 inches in width. And we'll get several of these and prep them for our torch. Go ahead and give this torch a test right now. So with simple lamp oil, you can see that it's still burning. And it's still going and going and going. And if you look at, it's just now starting to consume all of that cotton canvas. So is that viable inside of a cave or a mine shaft to wrap it around a knife, slam it into the side of the wall or a post or a tree, get enough initial light to wrap a torch and then head on down that shaft or that cave? Yes, it is. It's still burning. So tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and light a torch and walk around and see how much light it actually gives off. In the meantime, we're going to prep it out. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And if that were a stick, just like in the movie, as it starts to dim down like this, what can we do? Just wrap another one on there and continue on our path. Pretty much now to make this torch, all we're going to do is we're going to wrap it I'm going to start off at the very front there, have a piece dangle down like so. And then we're going to just wrap around, pulling it tight, kind of like in a diagonal. And then once we get down so far, we'll change and go upward. Get to that point right there, and then we'll just add another one. Work our way diagonal towards the base, and then back up. Now these are not treated with lamp oil yet. Once I get my initial layering system on here, probably about 3 to 4 of these, we'll add some lamp oil. Again, could have been kerosene, but I think you would have smelt that. And then we'll get individual pieces set up with some lamp oil as well. And we'll carry those with us in our tunic. I'm going to add probably maybe one more to that. And this bottom 4 or 5 inches, we're going to tuck up inside, kind of like a shoelace. That is heavenly. That rub and that barbecue sauce. Ah. That is good. Check that out. Pretty much Rambo settles in for the night and hangs out, has some chow, decompresses, tries to think about, you know, his next move, and then you get the call on the radio. And from there, all hell's gonna break loose. He looks around, and the one thing that he finally notices is that if he was in a sealed off area, the smoke would rise up and then fill straight down. Instead, what happens? He sees the smoke being funneled somewhere else. So he knows it's a possible escape route, an air vent, some type of exit or entrance, and so he follows it. And that's where he makes his torch and ultimately finds a ladder and gets out. And if this video series is well received, then we'll go ahead and seek out other movies, do the gear loadouts, and then ultimately take them out and see what we can actually do with it. If it's not well received, then we're gonna abandon it and move on to something else, because we have plenty of things we gotta get going, and the van's almost done, by the way. Once that van's done, we're mobile, and I got a whole nother thing in store for you guys. And I'm not gonna say anything. So, real quick, don't forget we have the 100 Corporals Corner stainless steel removable handle with a pour spout skillets dropping as we speak, and that link is located in my video description box. Now, let's go ahead and get out of here. With that, all the gear in my videos can be found on one spot, my website, corporalscorner.com, and that link is located in my video description box. Now, please do me that favor, hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. And as always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm gonna catch you next time.